My name's Daniel Mercer. I'm a freelance travel blogger, or at least I was, before that trip changed everything. I've told this story before, but people always laugh it off. They call it a creative horror entry or a Halloween special. But I swear to God, what I saw on Waverly Cliffs was real. It all started late October, when the Pacific winds began rolling colder across Northern California. I was driving along the coast, looking for inspiration for my blog series, America's Forgotten Corners. A friend had told me about an old Victorian mansion perched above the ocean. The locals called it the Waverly House. It wasn't on any map. He'd just said, take the coastal road past Harbor Point, then follow the dirt track up the cliffs. You can't miss it. That's exactly what I did. By the time I got there, the sun was setting behind a curtain of clouds, painting the waves below in bruised shades of purple and gray. The road narrowed into a thin gravel path, the kind that makes your tires crunch like bones. When the mansion finally appeared, it looked less like a house and more like something the sea itself had spat out. Dark, crooked, and half swallowed by fog. One of its towers leaned slightly, as if watching me. I parked my car near the rusted gate. A wooden sign hung crookedly. Private property, keep out. I should have turned back right then. But curiosity, that deadly itch, always wins with me. I was planning to take some photos, write a short post about the mansion's history, and maybe camp nearby. But when I pushed the gate open, the hinges screamed like something alive. The sound echoed down the cliffs. The air smelled of salt, wet wood, and something faintly metallic. Blood, maybe? Or rust. Inside the yard, I saw what used to be a garden. Weeds had taken over, twisting around the remains of old stone statues. Angels, saints, all headless. The wind carried a low, almost human hum. I told myself it was just the sea. The front door of the mansion was half open, swinging gently in the wind. The paint had peeled to gray, and the brass handle was green with age. I hesitated. Then my camera beeped, low battery. That's when I saw a flicker of light inside, just for a second, like a candle. Someone was in there. I called out, "Hello, I'm just a traveler. I didn't mean to intrude." No answer. The light went out. A rational man would have walked away, but I'm not rational, not when there's a story waiting. I stepped inside. The moment I crossed that threshold, the air changed. It wasn't just cold, it was still. Even the sound of the ocean disappeared, as if I'd stepped into a sealed world. Dust floated like ash. The hall was lined with portraits, faces of people who seemed to follow me with their eyes. Their paint was cracked, their frames warped, yet the eyes, they were vivid, almost new. The floorboards creaked under my boots as I moved deeper. My flashlight beam caught movement on the wall, a shadow slipping away just before I turned. "Probably a rat," I whispered, though even my voice sounded wrong, muffled, distant. The main hall opened into a grand staircase, curved like a spine. At its base, a mirror stood, tall, gilded, covered in a thin film of grime. I wiped a circle with my sleeve. My reflection looked back, pale and uncertain, but something was wrong. In the reflection, the door behind me was closed. In reality, it was still swinging open. I froze. My heartbeat filled my ears. I turned around. The door, wide open. I turned back to the mirror, closed. Then I saw it. A faint figure standing at the top of the stairs, barely visible through the dust, long dress, hair falling over one shoulder, completely still. I blinked, and she was gone. The beam of my flashlight trembled against the wall. My chest felt tight, like I was breathing underwater. I wanted to believe it was a trick of light, but then the mirror's reflection smiled, and I hadn't. I don't know how long I stood there staring at that mirror. Maybe a minute, maybe an hour. Time had stopped meaning anything. All I knew was my reflection had smiled, and I hadn't. The air in the hallway thickened. My flashlight flickered. I could hear something upstairs, faint, rhythmic, like slow footsteps on old wood. "Hello?" I called again, my voice cracking. No answer. Just the groan of the staircase, as if someone had shifted their weight up there. I took one step back toward the front door, then another. I was almost out when a soft voice, a woman's voice, floated down from the second floor. "Don't leave. Not yet." It wasn't loud, but it cut through me like a blade of ice. Every instinct screamed run, but something, curiosity, guilt, or sheer stupidity, rooted me in place. "Who's there?" I managed. No reply. The light from my flashlight caught something on the stairs, a faint trail of wet footprints leading upward. Bare feet, small. I swallowed hard and followed them. Each step creaked under my weight, echoing through the empty house. Halfway up, I caught the faint smell of lavender. The footprints ended at a half-open door on the right. I pushed it slowly. It was a bedroom. The curtains were shredded, swaying slightly, though the windows were closed. A canopy bed stood in the middle, its sheets yellowed with age. And sitting on the edge of that bed was a woman. At least I thought she was a woman. Her back was to me, long dark hair spilling down a faded white dress. She was humming, a tune that felt both familiar and wrong, like a lullaby missing half its notes. I froze. My throat was dry. "Ma'am," I whispered, "I didn't mean to trespass. She stopped humming. The silence that followed was worse than any sound. Then she spoke, still facing away. "You came for the story." I felt a shiver run through me. "How do you know that?" "Everyone comes for the story." Her voice had this hollow echo, like it was coming from the walls instead of her. I stepped closer, trying to convince myself she was just a squatter, maybe a caretaker gone mad. "Who are you?" Slowly, she turned her head. Her face, it wasn't decayed or monstrous, just wrong. Too pale. Eyes too wide, reflecting the dim light like glass. And her mouth, it was curved in that same unnatural smile from the mirror. "You shouldn't have come here," she whispered. "He doesn't like visitors." "Who doesn't?" A sound erupted from the hallway, a heavy thud, like a door slamming somewhere deep inside the house. Then another. The walls seemed to shake. The woman stood, her head tilted slightly, her neck cracking with the motion. "He's awake now." My flashlight died. Total darkness. I stumbled backward, trying to find the door. My heart hammered in my throat. Somewhere in that darkness, I heard breathing. Not mine. Slow, heavy, almost animal. "Stay back," I shouted. "I'll leave. I swear I'll—" Something brushed against my arm. Cold, like the skin of a corpse. I swung blindly, hit nothing but air. Then, for just a second, the flashlight flickered back on, and I saw them both. The woman standing right beside me, her eyes black and empty, and behind her, something tall, too tall for the room, its outline shifting like smoke, its head bent toward the ceiling. The light died again. I ran. I don't remember how I found the stairs or how I made it down. The only sound behind me was that humming, faint, following me all the way down the hall until I crashed through the front door and into the night. Outside, the ocean wind hit me like a slap. I turned back, expecting to see the house dark and silent. But no. Every window glowed faintly from within, like candles had been lit in every room. And at the topmost window of the tower, someone was watching me. I jumped in my car, started the engine, and sped down the dirt road without looking back. The fog swallowed everything behind me. Only when I reached the main road did I stop to breathe. My hands were shaking so hard I could barely keep them on the wheel. I looked at my rearview mirror and saw her sitting in the back seat. For a few seconds, I couldn't breathe. She was there, in the mirror, sitting perfectly still in the back seat. Her pale face half hidden by her hair, just watching me. I didn't dare look back. I just kept my eyes on the road, my knuckles white around the steering wheel. The rain had started again, light at first, then harder, drumming against the windshield like thousands of fingernails. I whispered, "You're not real. You're not real." But deep down, I already knew she was. The reflection didn't move, didn't blink, but as the car dipped and turned along the cliffside, her image swayed ever so slightly, as though she were breathing. I tried to focus on the road. I just needed to reach the main highway, get into town, find someone, anyone. But when I glanced at the GPS screen, it was dead, just black. No signal. I hit the brakes, pulling over near a patch of dying pines. The car's engine coughed and went silent. The only sound was the rain. When I finally forced myself to turn around, the back seat was empty. My chest loosened just enough to let me breathe again. I laughed, this shaky, broken sound that didn't feel like it belonged to me. "God, I'm losing it," I whispered. But then I noticed something on the seat. A wet handprint. Fingers long, thin, pressed right into the leather. The air grew colder, not like a chill from the window, but a deep, suffocating cold that wrapped around my lungs. And beneath that cold, I heard it again, faint, right behind me. That same humming from the house. The same broken lullaby. I shoved open the door, stumbled out into the rain. The night air burned in my throat as I tried to breathe. The forest around me felt alive, every shadow shifting when I wasn't looking directly at it. That's when I saw it, a faint yellow light flickering between the trees. A cabin? A gas station? I didn't care. I ran toward it. The mud sucked at my boots as I moved deeper into the woods, branches clawing at my jacket. The light kept blinking in and out, always just a little farther away than it should have been. Finally, I broke through the tree line into a small clearing. There was no cabin, no building, just an old, rusted street lamp, half buried in the ground, its bulb flickering weakly. And under it stood the woman. Same white dress, same dripping hair. Her head tilted slightly, as if she'd been waiting. She was humming again. "Why did you leave me, Daniel?" I took a step back. "What do you want from me?" Her smile widened, wrong and glassy. "You came for a story. You can't leave without finishing it." The lamp above her buzzed, dimmed, then went out completely. Darkness swallowed the clearing. I ran. Branches whipped my face. Something tore my sleeve. I don't even remember how I found the road again, only that my car's headlights were still on, cutting through the rain. I jumped in, slammed the door, locked it, and froze. Someone had left the passenger door slightly open. I reached over, shaking, to pull it shut, but before I could touch the handle, I heard breathing, soft, measured, coming from the seat beside me. Slowly, I turned my head. She was there, sitting next to me now, closer than before. Her face pale as paper, her hair dripping onto her dress, forming dark stains that looked like ink. She didn't move, didn't speak, just looked at me with those glassy eyes. Then, without warning, she leaned closer, her lips brushing my ear. "You shouldn't have left him behind." My skin went cold. Who? Who did I leave? The one who built the house. I blinked, and she was gone. Just gone. No sound, no trace. I sat there for a long time, staring at the empty seat, until the rain started to fade and the first light of dawn bled across the sky. When I finally drove again, I didn't stop until I reached a small coastal town. I found a diner, stumbled inside like a drunk. The waitress looked up from her coffee pot. "You okay, hun?" I nodded, though I probably looked half dead. "Yeah," I said hoarsely. "Just long night." She smiled faintly and poured me a cup. "Rough road up by the cliffs?" I froze. "How do you know where I came from?" She shrugged. "Ain't hard to guess. Only one road open that way, since the old Waverly place got shut down." "Shut down?" I asked. "Yeah, after the fire. She left it a couple. Killed the owner and his daughter, they say. Never found the bodies. House has been empty since, well, forever." The spoon slipped from my hand and clattered on the counter. "His daughter," I whispered. She nodded slowly. "Name was Lillian." That name. It hit me like ice, because I'd seen it carved above the mirror in that house, faint, almost hidden under the grime. The waitress gave me a strange look. "You look like you've seen a ghost, sweetheart." I didn't answer, because behind her, reflected in the diner's window, I saw Lillian, standing outside, smiling. And this time, she wasn't alone. Something tall and black was standing right behind her, its reflection stretching across the glass like smoke, its head bending slowly toward the roof. Then the light flickered, and they were gone. The diner was nearly empty. The fluorescent lights hummed softly, buzzing above the linoleum tables. Rain still pattered against the windows, and the smell of wet asphalt mixed with coffee and fried eggs. I sat there, staring into my cup, shaking. My hands had stopped trembling, but my mind hadn't. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw her. Lillian, her pale face, that unnatural smile, and that thing behind her. The waitress came back with my coffee. She was older than she looked at first glance, maybe in her late 50s, with gray streaks in her hair and tired, knowing eyes. "You okay?" she asked again. I swallowed. I think I need to know what happened at Waverly House. The fire, the daughter, Lillian, everything. Her gaze shifted to the window, as if watching someone outside. Then she sighed. "You're not the first stranger to come through here asking, but most leave without really understanding." I leaned forward, desperate. I need to understand. I need to know why she was in my car. She stared at me for a long time, then nodded slowly. "All right, but you might regret knowing." I nodded. I was already regretting nothing. The curiosity had dragged me here. She leaned closer. Waverly House wasn't just a house. It was built to contain something, a presence, a consciousness. Lillian's father, he wasn't a man, not fully. He was an inventor of sorts, not machines, but of other things, things that shouldn't exist. He called it the passenger. I blinked. The passenger? That's why she was in my car? She nodded. He built it. Lillian, she was caught in it. The fire didn't free her. It trapped her. Half the town swears they've seen the house glow at night or hear laughter in the wind. But those who go too close, they become part of it. My stomach turned. Part of it? Yes, the house, or the passenger inside it, chooses who it wants, and it wants you. I laughed nervously, though it sounded hollow. Why me? I'm just a blogger. Her eyes were sharp. Not just a blogger. Curious, reckless, someone who follows stories to the end. That's exactly who it needs. It doesn't just haunt, it collects. I stared out the window. The rain had slowed to a drizzle, and for a moment the world outside looked calm. Too calm. Then I saw a shadow move, not outside, inside. The reflection in the window. Two figures. Lillian, pale and smiling, and the tall, black shape. I jerked back in my seat. My coffee sloshed over the edge. She's here. And behind her, something else. Something that shouldn't exist. The waitress noticed my reaction. "Don't look at it," she whispered. "It feeds on fear." I couldn't help it. My eyes darted back. Lillian's hand reached for me through the glass, and in her eyes I saw everything. The fire, the house, the mirrors, the basement, the attic, all the horrors. Then, in a voice I could hear only inside my head, she said, "You were always meant to come back, Daniel. We've been waiting." My vision blurred. My heart raced. I tried to stand, to run, but my legs felt heavy, like wading through water. The diner disappeared. Or maybe I did. I wasn't in the diner anymore. I was back on the cliffs. Waverly House loomed above me, dark and crooked. The wind howled, carrying laughter. My own? Lillian's? Something else. And on the back seat of my car, I could feel her, the passenger, waiting, patient. I realized something then. The story wasn't over. It was just beginning. The wind screamed along the cliffs. Rain soaked through my jacket, plastered my hair to my forehead. I stumbled toward the car, my vision blurred, chest heaving. Every instinct screamed to run, yet something drew me forward, a magnet I couldn't resist. The back seat was empty, at first. Then I felt it. A cold, almost liquid pressure in the air, crawling over my skin like fingers made of mist. My reflection in the rearview mirror wasn't mine anymore. My face smiled. I spun around. Nothing, but the seatbelt clicked as if fastened by invisible hands. "Welcome back, Daniel," a voice whispered from the shadows. It wasn't Lillian, or at least, it wasn't her entirely. Her tone carried something darker, older, a consciousness older than the cliffs, older than the house itself. The engine wouldn't start. My hands trembled as I turned the key. Click. Click, click. The sky split with lightning. For a brief moment I saw it. The tall shadow from the house stretched across the cliffs like a living nightmare. It moved, impossibly fluid, and yet deliberate, toward me. I leapt from the car. My boots sank into mud. The shadow followed, but not on the ground. Above, around, inside me. Then I heard her laugh. Lillian's, but layered over something else. a deep, hollow sound like metal scraping bone. "You can't leave, Daniel, not now." I ran toward the edge of the cliff, where waves crashed violently below. The wind tried to push me back, but I forced myself forward. And then I understood. It wasn't just her. The house, the passenger, it was everywhere. In the wind, the rain, the waves, in the reflection of every puddle. I could feel it crawling inside my mind, whispering secrets I wasn't meant to know. I closed my eyes, willing myself to breathe, to think. A memory came, the mirror, the smile, the footprints, the faint smell of lavender. "Follow me," the voice whispered, inside and outside of me. Against every instinct, I did. My boots carried me to the old dirt path leading to Waverly House. The mansion was alive now. The walls pulsed, the windows like eyes. The tower leaned further, as if to look directly at me. I entered through the front door. Inside, darkness swallowed everything. But faintly, I could see the outlines, the grand staircase, the portraits, and at the top, her, Lillian, smiling, waiting. "He's awake," she said again. The floorboards creaked under my weight. Each step felt like a lifetime. I couldn't stop now. I had to see. At the top of the stairs, she raised her hand, and suddenly, the walls began to bleed shadows. Shapes like people, screaming, reaching, writhing, yet they had no faces, no eyes, only open mouths. They formed a river, flowing toward me. I stumbled back. My mind screamed. I couldn't run, couldn't fight, couldn't hide. "Join us," the voice said, layered over every sound. The wind, the rain, the ocean, my heartbeat. The last thing I remember before the darkness took me completely was her hand brushing mine. Cold, soft, impossibly heavy. And then, silence. When I woke, I was back in the diner. The rain had stopped. Coffee sat untouched, steam curling from the cup. I was alone, or at least I thought I was. But the reflection in the window smiled. The diner was quiet, too quiet. My coffee cooled, untouched, but I didn't dare drink it. Every shadow in the corner seemed to twitch alive. My reflection in the window stared back, pale, wide-eyed, smiling that same unnatural smile. I tried to shake it off. Maybe it was shock. Maybe I had passed out on the cliffs. But deep inside, I knew the truth. Waverly House didn't let its visitors go. Not fully. A tap on the glass made me jump. My reflection winked. Slowly, impossibly, it began to move on its own, stepping closer, pressing against the glass from the inside, though there was no one there. I backed away. My chair scraped the floor. I could hear it, soft, wet footsteps behind me. Turning around, the diner looked empty, but the air felt thick, charged, buzzing. "You've come back," the voice whispered, closer now. "Not Lillian, something else, something ancient." I tried to run, but the door slammed shut on its own. The windows blackened as if night had fallen inside. Shadows stretched across the walls, writhing like living smoke. The diner became the mansion. In the reflection, I saw them, hundreds of faceless figures pressed against mirrors, windows, every reflective surface. They reached out with hands of shadow. Their mouths moved, whispering in unison. "Join us, join us, join us." I stumbled to the bathroom, locking the door. My own reflection stared from the cracked mirror above the sink, but it wasn't me, not fully. The eyes glimmered black, the smile stretched impossibly wide. Then she appeared, Lillian, or her echo, a figure of shadow and mist, rising from the floor like smoke from a fire long extinguished. "You can't escape," she said softly, voice layered with 1,000 others. "The passenger doesn't release what it awakens." The mirror cracked, not a single pane, the entire wall splintered, revealing an endless black void. From it, shapes emerged, twisted, elongated, human, but wrong. They flowed toward me, surrounding the bathroom in a river of darkness. I screamed. No one came. No one could hear. The air thickened, pressing on my chest, suffocating. I tried to run. My legs wouldn't move. My body felt heavier than stone. "Give yourself to the story," the voice coaxed. My reflection reached out through the glass, cold, pulling me. I fought, but it was stronger. My vision blurred. My hands clawed at the floor, the walls, anything solid. And then I fell. Not into air, not into floor, but into the void itself. Shadows swallowed me, shapes pressed into me, whispered into me, learned me, remade me. I felt myself splitting, twisting, my body, my mind, all bending to the will of something older, hungrier, alive. Somewhere in the darkness, Lillian's laughter echoed, a lullaby and a scream. "Welcome, Daniel. You are ours now." I was gone, not dead, not alive, something else, a passenger. Hours, or maybe centuries later, I woke. I was back behind the wheel of my car, fog rolling over the cliffs. The mansion loomed silently in the distance, yet impossibly close. My hands gripped the wheel. I was alone. Or, at least, I thought I was. The rearview mirror shimmered. For a heartbeat, I saw my reflection, smiling. And then, slowly, impossibly, another face appeared behind me. Pale, wide-eyed, grinning. I knew, whatever I'd brought back, whatever had followed me from Waverly House, it was not done. The cliffs waited, the wind whispered, and the passenger awake.